From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, Tour of Duty Observations. And the Renegade Express, we finish it out. Lots of grant of rights, Corey. A lot of grant of rights, conference, teeth gnashing. We're here for you, everybody. Lean on us. We'll lean on you. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Daily lunch specials, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., only $8.99. Fridays, chicken finger basket. Get the dipping sauce on the side or get it tossed and brought to your table, rather, with just absolute impeccable presentation. It's delicious. Everything is at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Anything happening this weekend, popping off live music? Anything you know about, Corey?
I don't think so, but it's always popping off at the Corner Pocket, buddy. Tonight it'll be, it'll be. Look, man, here's the thing about.
Will UFC be on Saturday?
Is there a big fight?
John Jones, remember the John Jones fight?
Oh yeah, that's right. How could I forget? How could I? Is that like a pay-per-view event? Guy that hadn't fought in that
ESPN
long?
Plus or something. One of the. I think everything's on ESPN Plus.
I can't say for certain that will be, but I will say this: that Tallahassee's a great city. A lot of the bars in certain areas, a lot of restaurants in certain areas, they close, or they might close at 11 on a Saturday night or 10 even.
You're lucky if they close at 11.
But at Corner Pocket, it's going and it's going strong until they turn on the lights around 1:45. And even then, they're not going to kick you out right away when the lights come on. But I'm just saying, the only other places in Tallahassee that stay open that late, that have a fun vibe where you can go have some fun late night hours, are college bars.
Right.
And you don't want to be the old creep at a college bar. You would rather be the old creep at Corner Pocket, like me.
Speak for yourself, Corey.
Well, I know. I'm sorry. I'm speaking for just myself on this podcast.
Yeah. Warchant.com, Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. Thumbs up.
You want to go to Potts? You want to go to Potts this weekend?
Let's do it, man.
Let's just do it and just see what happens.
Warchant.com, Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. Subscribe, $29.99 for full premium access from whenever you decide to sign up, whether it's this very minute or maybe an hour from now after you're done listening to us. All the way up until September 1st, it will take you. $29.99. Thumbs up if you're listening to us on YouTube. 5-star rating and review. Subscribe to the one on the right side of your screen or your monitor or whatever. When you search for us on the Apple Podcasts app. Corey, so apparently, I don't want to go on your business here, but apparently you got on the road real late Wednesday, early into Thursday. So
I did.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for powering through. You weren't able to make it, though, in time for the Tour of Duty, but you'll be out there later today when we have the luncheon. Mike Norvell,
Correct.
all the assistant coaches. That's 11:30 this morning, so hop on to Warchant around noon. We'll have updates and such. Even before that on Twitter, probably even a thread. I don't know. Are you going to have to transcribe this whole thing, Corey? Or you get to have fun?
I'll probably transcribe Norvell talking, but I'm not going to do any of the other because those other ones are like you standalones anyway, right? We get them off to the side, but I'll probably transcribe what Norvell has to say. Look, I was planning on staying till Thursday and leaving Thursday night, but then I got word. I don't know, it was like 7 o'clock, 7:15, that Brady's game on Thursday had been canceled or postponed, moved back till Monday. So I'm like, well, what am I staying here for? Because we were already out anyway. Like, we were out playing trivia. Shanna was there. I was there. Brady was there. I'm like, dude, the only difference is instead of going to my house and going right to sleep, you're going to go to your mom's house and go right to sleep, and then I can get on the road. So I did get on the road around 9:30, got into Tallahassee around 2:30. And then 2.5 hours later, you were waking up. So I went to bed around 3, and then you got up at 5?
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What'd you do? You whip up some eggs or something before
Absolutely.
you hit the road?
I had my breakfast. Didn't have my overnight oats, though. Saved my overnight oats for when I got back.
Oh, okay.
Had my eggs. It was ready to rock. Had my vitamin energy half shot.
Nice.
Cruising, nice. Bro. That's why I feel good right now, bro.
All right, well, tell us, give us a few minutes of observations.
All right, let's start on the roster. Number 0, Fabian Lovett. Thoughts? I won't do that. It's hopefully you guys saw the wrap up with Jeff Cameron and Irish O'Fell. I don't want to parrot a lot of the things they're saying, Corey, but just to me, I think the biggest thing that stood out to me is just the physical development of this roster on the absolute whole. This looks, and again, looking and executing different things, understood, everybody. But, man, this looks like a high-functioning, quality Power 5 football program that's serious about competing on the football field. And, Jeff mentioned there's going to be some hurt feelings because of all the depth they've brought in on the offensive and defensive lines. I can't envision a situation, barring injury, that Casey Roddick and Jeremiah Byers are not starting on this offensive line. Those two dudes just physically are so mature, and they move fantastic. It's not just big human beings slogging through. It's a really intense, relentless paced day, and those two guys to me, just in terms of, and listen, Keandre Jones I thought looked well too, man. Keandre Jones was coaching up guys. That was really cool to see a new guy kind of encouraging everybody on. Man, they brought in some real serious human beings on the offensive line, notably the offensive line. I think Darrell Jackson looked really well. Braden Fisk was out there stretching, but the way they broke it up, Corey, was like they kind of had the offense on one side of the field, on one side of the 50, and then the defense kind of on the other half, and they sort of swapped towards the end of it. You'll see the video if you haven't already. Most of it that's already up is the offense performing. We'll have Saturday. We'll release some of the more of it, and that's mostly the defense guys. Didn't see Fisk going through some stuff. People are asking, where's Jordan Travis? He wasn't in the video, but he was out there. I saw him towards the end. But to me, it's just the offensive line. Man, and the offensive line was really good last year, right, Corey? So I don't even know what happens when you get better on the offensive line because this offense was really high funcking, man. Whatever, they were top 20. So, but again, there's always little margins or where you make championships. I guess those razor thin margins. Those guys to me seem like they're going to be real difference makers. So that was the offensive line.
That's good to hear, man. It's the most, other than quarterback, it's the most probably important position. It's collective, but it's the most important collective on a football team. And they were good last year. And it would appear, and look, Mike Norvell afterwards, that was the name he brought up. He said Jeremiah Byers has been very impressive, dude, very impressive. So that's really good to hear, man. And yeah, it's just a question of where on the line he's going to play, right? Like I feel like he, Maurice, and Robert Scott are locked and loaded, right? Don't you feel maybe? Yeah. And you seem to think Roddick too.
Yeah, I mean, dude.
So Roddick, you think all those other dudes, and there are a ton, are just fighting for one other spot. Like maybe, Roddick could be a center. He's played center in the past. He could maybe compete at center. The beauty, though, is there will be injuries. There will be. You remember last year when we thought Maurice Smith.
The injuries, but the depth.
No, but I mean the depth. Yeah, obviously, yes. The beauty of football is that people get hurt, right? Isn't that awesome, guys? Don't we love that part of the game? Yeah. No, so. Last year when it looked like Maurice Smith might be done for the year at one of those practices we were at, man.
Jacksonville, right? I think it was in Jacksonville. Yeah.
You would have thought, there goes the season. Mm-hmm. Now, and again, I'm not trying to jinx anything, but it did. The season did not go down. I think he played against LSU, right? I think.
Yeah.
And he might have even played in the opener, but he definitely played against LSU and then played the rest of the way and wasn't all that hurt. You survived some pretty big injuries last year. Your right tackle missed every game but the first one. Other guys got banged up throughout the year too, and you still survived it. Now you're even in better position for that, where you got Darius Washington, man, might not start a game. Or he might start all 12, going back and forth from position to position wherever he's needed. But you have a guy like Darius Washington where you think about Maurice Smith, Robert Scott, Byers, Roddick, Keandre Jones, I don't know, Armella, Bless Harris, Dimitri Emmanuel, perhaps. Man, Darius Washington might be number 9. Darius Washington, who has been a pretty solid college football player and is a very valuable college football player. As Jeff said in the video, he might have his feelings hurt that he's number 8 or number 9 in rotation, but all those guys might and probably will be needed throughout the course of a season. It's just really cool to see an offensive line like this, where that's a really good sign that the especially Roddick and Byers, who were the two big offensive lineman transfers that you brought in, big as in like big names. That they look the part and will certainly compete. Byers seems like a slam dunk.
Yes.
But, man, that also makes everybody else better because you better compete or you're not going to get on the field. Yeah. That's just, again, I just can't stress how important that is. So that's good to hear, man.
Yeah, Storms mentioned that, too, that even in the weight room, the level and sort of the element of competition is looming large. Like, guys are looking at other guys, what they've got on the bar, in certain reps, and like, all right, we'll add some more weight to my bar. Let me stay on on level playing with this guy. So this is all kind of feeding into things. Maurice did not play against Duquesne, by the way, if you're yelling at the screen. So I'm just looking at it. I don't want to gloss over guys, so pardon me, Corey, I might go a little too long-winded. Feel free to keep me reined in here, though. Staying with the offensive line just real quick. Man, Julian Armella took the offseason seriously. So that's really cool. He's been out there helping out the Boys and Girls Club, doing all sorts of things with NIL, but he's been in the weight room doing some really big things. So he looks physically developed. And I wonder what's going to happen. If you would have told me like a week ago or 24 hours ago, I still would have been like, Bless Harris, Robert Scott, your tackles. Now I'm like, I don't know what they want to do. Jeremiah Byers, he played tackle primarily at UTEP, and I know they talked to him about playing guard. Maybe that's where he feels he'll play at the next level and wants to do it here. But again, man, just so many dynamic weapons. I don't know if you want to call them dynamic weapons on the offensive line, but those guys are just athletic, man. They got huge athletic dudes. Speaking of huge athletic guys, Kyle Morlock, he moved good, Corey. He moved fluid. Good. Really, was near the front of his sort of platoon when he would go out there. Now, he wasn't with like Jaheim Bell or anybody, but working really hard, moving really, really fluid. So it wasn't any kind of baby giraffe moment out there. He was working his tail off, looked really good. I thought Byron Turner had a really good day out there. Byron Turner looked like he was flashing a little bit to me. That was nice to see.
Okay.
Defensively, they talked about Omarion Cooper has put on something like, I think he said, I want to say 10, 15 pounds, Storm said. So sounds like, I don't know how much of this cross-training thing with him playing defensive back, playing cornerback safety, how much of it really is cross-training and maybe just pushing him to safety if he's going to put on that kind of weight.
Yeah.
It was kind of sifting here through the roster, man. I thought A.J. Duffy performed well. Everybody was exhausted, but he was one of those guys that seemed to really be kind of powering through, doing really well. Brock Glenn, I thought, also was going through the drills at a really crisp level. Somebody was asking, like, which coach is the hardest grader? Which is the one that sends guys back the most? I didn't notice them doing any of that, Corey. Like, there wasn't a lot of you're doing it wrong, go back. So take with that what you will, whether they're just executing really well or they're just stay upright.
Well, but if I guess in a situation like that with those kind of drills, if you make somebody go do it again, that gives the other person rest.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to have rest. It's supposed to be somebody else's turn, so it kind of messes up the whole drill. You want them to correct it, but in those kind of settings, you're not. If you say no, go do it until you get it right. Well, then Jimmy and Joey get 5 minutes of rest, which isn't the purpose of the tour of duty, right? Yes. You're supposed to push yourself to exhaustion. So they probably don't correct on the spot with stuff like that, I wouldn't think.
I don't want to point out guys that were. I don't want to call it struggling because it's intense, man. It's like over an hour. Nobody cares about any of this, Aslan. All they care about is could you and I do it? Right.
So you watched it with your eye, with a discerning eye. You know what shape I'm in.
Define you and I doing it, though.
Well, give me one drill that you think we would have struggled with. Like what are they all timed? Is it 5 minutes?
No, it's
okay.
They've got the period clock running, but so they basically there's like a line of 6 guys side by side, and it's like 4 or 5 deep.
Okay.
And then you 6 of you guys, you sprint up 5 yards, you chop your feet, like you're chopping your feet, waiting for your next reaction. Then you hit the ground. The other guy next to you jumps up, and you kind of barrel roll under him.
Okay.
And then you get up, and then you switch. And then you chop your feet, sprint 5 more yards, and then you meet a coach, and the coach is looking at you. He's like, chop your feet. And then he points you in a direction, then you sprint. And then you you go back to that. You go back to that same exact drill, and you do it, I don't know, man, 4, 5 more times. Now
and you get, what, like 20 seconds in between or 30 seconds in between?
About, maybe.
Yeah, my heart rate would get up pretty high, I think. Also, I would take somebody's knees out because I would get confused or not be able to jump over them. So it's probably better we didn't do it with the players.
I got faith in you.
Maybe they do a dry run-through with the managers before the tour of duty starts just to make sure the coaches are getting all right. We could do it with them. Okay. But, yeah, I feel like there's a good chance, and that's just one drill for 5 minutes, right?
Right.
So you do that probably 4 or 5 times. The chopping the feet after a while would get really exhausting, and I feel like the next drill is probably when I vomit.
Right.
Then don't you think?
There's one where you sprint like a straight line stop, and then you've got to run laterally reach down, touch the 20-yard line, then sprint back to the 30-yard line, and then it's not fun. It's not fun at all.
Okay.
I did want to point out there were some guys out there that were, just listen, not everybody's going to be at a complete maximum efficiency. And some people are like, oh, I saw this guy struggling or that guy struggling. And it's like, all right, man, it's going to happen. Not everybody is, has got the same kind of gas tank. I think they're in their different positions.
Part of the point of it is to struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a struggle. That thing is a real struggle.
Yeah, Coach Yak's yelling at them. He's like, don't be afraid to be tired. He's like, don't be afraid to be tired. That was really cool. And then just like Josh Farmer to me is a guy that he was grimacing the whole time, but he is a monster.
Okay, good.
I'm on the Joshua. I'm buying Joshua Farmer stock right now.
Okay, good.
Told my broker load up on it. And Hakeem Williams is another guy that looks physically amazing. Would unzip myself and take that guy's physique in a heartbeat.
Yikes. What?
And I know, man. I mean, shoot, I look in the mirror every day. I'm pretty content.
No, but I didn't understand I would unzip myself.
Well, I said this before, and somebody had comment. It's Rocky IV when he's walking up to the ring to fight Drago, and Paulie's like, "If I could be anybody, if I could unzip myself and be anybody, I want to be you. You're all heart, Rock. Now go bust this guy in the jaw."
That's okay. I like that context better than.
Yeah, I mean, like, come on, guys. What do you think I'm doing? Like, I'm the
Buffalo
Bill over here, making like a skin suit over here with these guys. But Hakeem Williams, I mean, look for yourself. I mean, Hakeem Williams, cardiovascular-wise, probably not where he wants to be, which it's fine. It was March 2nd,
Again, he's supposed to be and he's supposed to be in high school.
Yeah. But my guy, Van Jacobs wasn't. Van Jacobs was going strong and hard. But, yeah, Hakeem Williams, to me, he looks even more physically mature than I anticipated. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, man, he's going to be, he's not the average bear. But, no, he's 6'2", 210, looks a little bit on the conservative side of his build, I would think.
Nice.
Man.
Well, that's encouraging. And, yeah, when it comes to these workouts, because we usually got them like once a year, even with Jimbo and Willie. They let us watch one just like Norvell does. It's hard to, like, look at someone and be like, well, he's not in great shape or he's not in great shape. That's a problem. Like, look, the biggest thing is that they're trying to finish the drill. Some guys just have not adjusted their bodies to this. And as a fitness guru now, yes, like I am, trust me, the guy that started doing all this fitness stuff a year ago was pouring sweat when he first started. And then in July, it was a different story. And then now I would lap the dude from last March. I mean, I would just lap him. You get better and you get stronger as you get adjusted to this. And his life is different now. Hakeem Williams has been in college for 2 months. He now knows what tour of duty is like, and he will continue to get in good shape. He has to, right? To continue to get in good shape. And the biggest thing I think for all of it, and Norvell said it, was just getting through it, fighting through it, like showing, like, I think Norvell phrased it like getting to the brink of what you think you can do.
Yes. The
absolute limit, and then taking another step after that.
Uh-huh.
That's what they're trying to do with all these guys. And the young guys, most of them are probably going to struggle a little bit, but I can promise you that if he has any ounce of fight, competitiveness, any of these guys really, the conditioning will not be an issue when they kick off on Orlando
no.
against LSU,
And struggling is such a subjective word.
I don't mean to use it. Yeah,
I might have said
that. They're gassed.
Yeah, it's like they're grimacing. They're showing it to you. Everybody is. It's just like, do you have the poker face to kind of push through along?
I used to love when Erin Andrews used to be a sideline reporter for college football games. To a game, every game I watched that she was doing a sideline report, she would talk about, well, we go down to Aaron for an update. Ron, I'm down here on the Florida State sideline, and these offensive linemen look absolutely gassed. They are tired. They're breathing heavy. They're leaning back on the bench, and it's like, it's football, and they're big dudes that are tired. That's
92 degrees on the field.
Go to the other sideline. They're doing the same thing. Go to the stadium 100 miles away. They're doing the same thing. That's not news. Of course they're tired and exhausted and breathing heavy. That's the sport. So, yeah, that's what Tour of Duty is supposed to be about.
Quick hitter, Shaheem Bell, yes.
Okay, good.
Byron Turner, what stood out to me, Corey, was, this is anecdotally, I'm not going to say the player or the coach, but there was a player that's younger than Byron Turner who was not having a great day and was down on a knee, and Byron Turner and a couple of the players, like maybe two of the other players, were like encouraging him like, hey, man, get up, man. We got you, man. Get up. We got this. And then the coach, man, one of the coaches runs up and is just like, you're letting everybody down. You see what you're doing right now? All these guys sitting around waiting for you. You're letting everybody. And then, like, Byron Turner shot a look at the coach like, yo, chill out. We've got this, coach. And it was so awesome because the coach respected that and went along and then ran, like, off to the next station. And then that player, like, felt the urgency from his coach yelling at him and the love of his teammates around him that he got up and he finished everything out. And that was a really cool thing to me. I think that's why I brought up, psychoanalytically or whatever, I brought up Byron Turner. That was awesome to me, man, because it was like, all right, he hasn't done anything around here, and for him to snap back at a coach kind of like, hey, and he didn't say anything. It was just he gave him a look. It was just this look of like, hey, man, be a human being for a second. We've got this covered. It was amazing. I'm getting a little bit soft sometimes. I'm still of a jerk most of the times. But then I see these guys. I'm like, man, hey, we don't have to yell at them. It's 5:37 a.m. Give them some slack. But we'll be back out there again to talk to the coaches, rather, pre-spring luncheon later today. So check all that out. Spring football starts, Monday, Corey? First one, Monday?
Monday, yep.
We'll be out there full force. Some of you might be wondering, Aslan, weren't you out there filming tour of duty for about an hour? Yeah. And then you put up like 20 minutes of video onto YouTube so I could watch it? Yeah. And then you filmed Jeff and Ira talking about it afterwards, and you put that together so I could enjoy it? Like, yeah. And you were at the baseball game the night before, and you did a podcast? Yeah. How do you do it? Vitamin Energy, Corey. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code WarChant BOGO. That's BOGO. And if you buy an item, you will get an item, same price or lesser value for absolutely free, courtesy of our friends over at vitaminenergy.com. So use that promo code. I need to pull the guy's name up here. He Dizzy Diz posted on the Travel Council the other day, and I'm trying to get to it, but he was basically asking somebody, like, hey, man, Vitamin Energy, what's the promo code for this thing? I want to order it and support Aslan and Corey. And then two dudes hopped in there and said WarChant BOGO, I believe, including Josiah, our intrepid producer when we do the live shows. So thanks to those guys, TC32766, and Josiah for letting Dizzy Diz know about the promo code. Hopefully he or she has ordered it and will enjoy it surely because it got me going through my day, man. And it got me to bed the night before, too.
It got me, well, that helped, and it got me through my drive through the middle of the night. I'm just telling you guys, it works. They know what they're doing over there. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code is WarChant BOGO, BOGO. Give it a shot. Corey, you are the fitness guru. Everybody's getting in shape. Apparently, Chris Nee of competing website has shed some weight. He was asking Josh Storms. Storms says he's lost he was up to 260. Our guy says he's up to 260. Now he's down to 230-ish. There you go. He's cut, too. Looking good.
You're the coracle, but you're also like the harbinger. I mean, you're kind of the pace setter out there. I think people are taking notice. I feel like if people see me, I feel like if people are like, well, if Corey can get in shape, why am I not getting in shape? It can't be that hard. And no, it's not. You gotta decide to do it. All right, let's get back to the rest of the Renegade Express. Let me navigate back here. I had it pulled up and then I lost it. So let me. Corey, I usually do a good job of bundling all these together. They're all just grant of rights, ACC talk.
All right. Well, that's the topic du jour. I don't know what year is in French.
Año? Or I don't know.
I don't know.
No, that'd be
Año.
Latin.
That's Spanish.
That'd be like Latin.
It's the topic du month because it's not going anywhere. It's going to be on the forefront of people's minds for a good while now.
Thomas Ortner, who I don't know, he's got a slash through his name right now, so maybe he's banned right now. He's kind of a loose cannon sometimes. But if you're listening to this, Thomas, we'll read your question. You got it in the buzzer before you got banned, baby. He tells me to do the renovations myself at my house. If you want something done right, do it yourself. That sounds easy, but a lot of this stuff is not easy. Corey, I am trying your vodka Mio idea. Only problem is I smoke a lot of pot, and I like something carbonated to get rid of that pesky cough after I take a big hit. So with that,
I like that we're sharing. I like that we're sharing a lot. I don't know that this is the type of show that shares stuff like that, but hey man, if I'm sharing my vodka tips, I guess we could talk about weed. All right, well, good, Thomas. I'm glad you're trying. I'm glad you're trying to change your life.
With the Big 12 paying more than the ACC, And with the Big 12's new TV contract ending before 2036, which I think that's when Florida State's the ACC grant of rights is up 2036, Corey? Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Why wouldn't FSU and Clemson just grab 6 other teams and leave for the Big 12 if and only if we can't find a way into the SEC or Big Ten? I don't see a scenario where FSU is in the ACC post-2025 or even the ACC surviving more than a season or two.
You'd still owe the money, and they would still technically legally have a right to your media rights until 2030. The ACC would, unless the ACC dissolved. You can't just say, okay, we're leaving the conference and we're taking Clemson with us and we're going to Lubbock or wherever Kansas City, wherever the headquarters are for the Big 12. I mean, you could, but you don't get the money for the media rights for the next 12 years. That's the holdup in the whole. The train that's left the station, that's the roadblock that's still dead ahead. They haven't built the tunnel yet. There you go.
Sorry,
that's a better one.
No,
but I like that. There's a mountain ahead. They haven't built the tunnel yet to get through it for the train. So that's the issue. So I mean, and also like you.
What 6 teams are we going to grab and go to the Big 12? I mean, are we going to be in the same position here? We're going to be playing.
Oh, he was saying to grab 6 teams. I thought he said to go grab Clemson and then go join the 6 teams in the Big 12.
Well, he says, why wouldn't FSU and Clemson just grab 6 other teams and leave for the Big 12?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it could be a possibility. I mean, look, man, the end game is the SEC, clearly. The SEC or the Big 10. The Big 12 is kind of a stopgap if a situation like that. I don't think. Why would like Louisville? What's 6 teams? Aslan's got a great point because you'd have to break up the ACC to do it. The ACC would no longer have to be a conference. Why would North Carolina State or Georgia Tech or Louisville go to the Big 12? Yeah, it's for a few $1 million more maybe in the short term, but it's horrible for your fan base. You're not going to be any closer to competing for a championship. The money isn't that much more. It's not. You're still not anywhere close to what the SEC and the Big Ten would be. So I just don't. I think that's not a step you'd want to take, right?
Yeah, I don't. Maybe grab some of those Pac-12 teams, but again, just listen, man. Let's just.
But you got to make sure. The only way you can do it is if the ACC isn't the ACC anymore.
Yeah.
Right. For that standpoint, to go to the Big 12, so you'd have to grab. If you grab 6 other ACC teams, I just don't know why those schools that don't care about football and really, quite honestly, don't care that much about football revenue, clearly because they've never generated any, would then all of a sudden just crush the entire conference to go join Florida State and Clemson for a few years. I just don't. Yeah, I mean, I would explore all options, though. I can tell you that much. I would explore every single option to put pressure on the SEC and the Big Ten to bid for you.
There are 6 question marks in this post.
Okay.
So, should I pause?
Right.
Should I pause or should I just read all of them?
Just read them. Yeah.
It's random_John. Good morning, guys. Hope you're feeling better than the ACC home office after the burn Mike Alford put on them. All right, first one. Speaking of Alford and his big talk, what is the plan there? He said a bunch of things everyone already knew, so what is the next step? That's the second one. Clearly, he didn't fluff out his chest, tail feathers, and peacock for no reason. Now that he said that FSU's plan is to leave, he didn't say that, did he, Corey?
No.
How does
he just said something has to change.
Right. How does he plan to make this happen? What is his ace in the hole to get FSU out of the grant of rights? Perhaps the Coracle knows as he knows all, but if so, what is the reason the Coracle has not told us already? Why keep it a secret? What reason stops Alford from saying what the plan was right then and there in that meeting? Mic drop, walk away, start collecting that sweet SEC check. If there is no out, then why all of this big talk? Please explain to me the out that gives Alford all of this confidence.
I don't know that it's confidence. When I watch him talk and just look at the words, I think it's exasperation. I think it's urgency.
Yes.
I think it's look at this. We had these winter meetings or whenever they were a month ago or 3 weeks ago. They did not get the answers they want. They are not anywhere closer to competing with Florida from a financial standpoint, and the gap is about to widen dramatically again. And the ACC is basically telling him, well, what are you going to do? That's how he feels. And so he's trying to put any kind of pressure he can to either distribute the revenue differently, which I'm a fan of if that's the only option, or let other people know. Yeah, I think about it like if, say there's I don't even want to use that. I will. How about if Aslan was in a relationship, a public relationship? I was going to use me and Stephanie, but I'm not going that route. And you were having problems, and there was a good chance you wanted out. Maybe you start making some different kind of posts in the social media world to show other people, hey, is Aslan available? Is Aslan? Could I get into those DMs and see what's what?
You can, everybody.
I know they are wide open, aren't they, my man? So I feel like that was also part of it. Was like, hey guys, we are not happy here. We want people to know we're not happy here. If you want to come suit us, and we can try to figure out a way to expedite this, we're all ears because we are not happy. I think it was a shot at the ACC to like, look, man, take care of the programs that matter in the one sport that matters. Make that your priority over everything else, including lacrosse. Make that your priority. And then also, any of you other conferences, looking at you, Indianapolis, and you, where are the SEC headquarters? Birmingham?
Yeah.
Aren't they in Charlotte?
No, Birmingham.
But Paul Feinbaum
SEC
broadcasts from Charlotte.
SEC
yeah,
Network
the SEC Network
is
is Charlotte. Yeah, okay. So looking at you, Birmingham, looking at you, Indianapolis, if y'all like what you see here, just know that this relationship's on thin ice. It's a lot of friction here. So if you want to come calling, I might not say no. I think there was some of that, too. I think it was exasperation because this is untenable, and he wants to be on record for his constituency and for others that might be in play for Florida State services for them to know how unhappy he is. I don't think there is some master plan right now that he is just waiting in the cut, like waiting in the weeds to unveil. I think it was pure done of urgency and exasperation with a little bit of trying to, show the other conferences that matter that Florida State wouldn't mind being courted.
Well, it feels kind of like beginning of endish, right? It's you and all your buddies like, hey, you'd go first. No, you go first. No, I'm not. You go first. It feels like Michael Alford's like, listen, the only way this is going to happen is if we start, making public pleas, and then to your point, Corey, about letting other conferences out there know that, Florida State's open for business. That's what it felt like. Like, obviously something has to change. The only way we're going to start changing this is right now is through dialogue, and then have lawyers come behind us. And
it also seems like they clearly have tried to do it behind the scenes, and that wasn't moving any needles at all. Nobody was talking about it except for this show occasionally, and other shows that are Florida State-centric.
They were being gentlemen about it. They were gentlemanly and very diplomatic.
Clearly he got to the point where he didn't want to do that anymore, and he wanted people to know how upset he was, and now people nationally are talking about it. So that by itself achieved what it wanted to achieve. But I don't. He did not like rip the ACC in so many words as to say, man, screw this conference, they don't care. It was like a plea to them as well. Like, please take care of us. Do something for us. And he basically said, nothing he said was controversial, right?
No.
They're $30 million behind the conferences they're competing with for national championships. They're $30 million behind what is that? That's $450 million a year in revenue that the ACC is going to be behind the SEC, which is their competitor. In football mainly, but in all the other sports too. Watch how it trickles down to baseball. It already is. Watch how it trickles down to softball. It already is. They can't compete. And he's almost like waving the flares on the Titanic as it sinks. That's not a great metaphor because they all died, didn't they? Maybe he hopped in with the kids.
Die Hard 2? When McClane's on the runway and he's got the flare and the plane pulls up at the last minute?
Oh, yeah, that's right. And he's letting people know, hey, there's a runway here. I think that's what it was, man. I think it's waving the flares, trying to let people understand, like shouting from the mountaintops, this is crazy. Our conference wants us to try to win championships, and we have no chance in the current landscape to really compete in the next 12 years while this stupid grant of rights does. And maybe shouting at ESPN too. Like, come on, man. Florida State and Clemson are big brands. So is Miami to a certain extent. Untie us. Give us a chance to compete. That's only good in the grand scheme of things. That's good for college football, which means it's good for ESPN. But so we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out.
We got more of those. Let's
that was a long answer.
No,
sorry,
you're fine.
Sorry,
that was good,
random John.
Covered a lot. There's 6 questions in there, buddy. That was not that bad.
Well,
after
that's
all.
true. Good point.
Per capita or whatever.
I thought you meant when he said 6 question marks that it was one question with 6 question marks after it. Like he was really.
Oh no, bro. There was like 6 questions practically. Let's pause for some spring football or football talk here. Tennis Ump, our guy Dave, speaking of Birmingham. Wake up. Haven't been this excited about an upcoming season in many years. Cannot wait for your reports during spring football. I don't think we read this, did we? What position group are you most eager to see and think will be the strongest group? Which are you the most nervous about? Thanks as always for all you do. Offensive line, strongest group. I mean, can you believe it, everybody? Get in the time machine. Go tell 2019 Aslan that, everybody. And I don't know about nervous, but I'm curious. Listen, linebacker is what it is. I'm curious to see what they're going to do at safety.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Yeah, the safety to me is the concern, the biggest one. Linebacker, a lot for depth reasons for both of those, but maybe somebody plays their way into becoming a rotation player this spring and shows out, and you're like, okay, that's somebody you can depend on. It's crazy that I would think overall, I mean, I think the receivers are good. The running backs are probably the running backs is a really good room. Yeah. The tight ends. It's funny. Both Storms and I think Atkins on when he talked to Jeff last week, both mentioned Jackson West in the tight end room as somebody that's had a really good offseason. It didn't mention Brian Courtney, either one of them, but both mentioned Jarrell Powers and Jackson West to go along with, obviously, Marquiston still there and then the 2 newcomers. So that tight end room, crazily, might be there's a lot of bodies in there, man, and some of them are actually good now. You might be NFL dudes. That's a good thing. But it's great to think about your offensive line having all that depth, and then your defensive line having some serious depth. Both, I mean, the line of scrimmage is where it's at, man. That's where games are won and lost, and you're good on both sides. Those are going to be some. I don't know how much good on good they'll do, but they'll do some, and those will be really interesting battles. The one-on-ones they do with the offensive lines, the 3-on-2 drills they do with the offensive and defensive lines, and then just the team stuff, the 5-on-5 stuff. Now, they're probably not going to be tackling kids to the ground, but that's going to be physical on that offensive line and that defensive line. That's going to be some real competition, and I'm really looking forward to that. Remember how much we talked about Jared Verse like last August? Like, man, he doesn't stop talking.
Yeah.
Like, he must be just the most annoying person to try to block, not only because of his talent, but he doesn't shut up. Yeah. He just talks and talks and talks, and I know that's infuriating. It has to be to go against. That, again, that kind of stuff only helps the competition level, man. Not only are you having to block Jared Verse and Fisk and Fabian Lovett and Darrell Jackson and the kid from South Carolina, Edmond, but you have to you're competing. Like, there's trash talking. And it's only going to make both sides better. And that defensive line should not dominate that offensive line at all. It should be some real wars back and forth. That'll be good to see, man. That's really good for the team.
Our guy Derek, XDQ004. Wake up. Let's have a little fun. We're always having fun, Derek. Which set of triplets are you taking? Oh. So he's given us 4 sets of triplets. Also says to support the guys, the sponsors, the collectives, and go Noles.
There you go. Well said.
Ward, Benson, Benjamin. So Charlie, Trey Benson, Kelvin Benjamin.
Oh, okay. All right.
Chris Winkie, Dalvin Cook. He just puts R Green.
Well, so I don't know. Oh, Rashad
Green.
Come on, Aslan. Did he put the E on the end of Green?
No, he did not.
That's where you were confused, buddy.
Sorry.
That's where you were confused. Okay, so Winkie, Cook, Rashad Green. Okay, that's a good one.
Jameis, Cam Akers, Johnny Wilson. You just put Jay Wilson. Could be Jesus. Could be Bobo.
Probably Bobo. That's probably who he meant. Yeah. Okay. Obviously, I'm assuming he means Johnny there.
Jordan Travis, Warwick Dunn, Peter Warwick.
That one.
So basically 3 Heisman guys and top shelf dudes, or a non-Heisman quarterback and 2 of the best ever.
I don't know, man. It's either that one or the Winkie. What was it? Who was with
Rashad
Dalvin?
And Dalvin.
I mean, you've got like the number 2 receiver in program history, number 2 or number 3 from production standpoint. Winkie, I think, holds a bunch of records. Dalvin Cook holds all the rushing records. I mean, Dalvin Cook, Rashad Green, and Winky is we kind of almost saw it, right? In 14, you had Rashad and Dalvin on the same team for half that season when they finally decided to start playing Dalvin. I still think I go with Jordan, Warwick Dunn, and Peter Warwick. But that's also because it's right in my wheelhouse, my sentimentality, being such a big fan of the Warwicks, and just, I think that's probably, it's tugging at my heartstrings a little. Plus, I'm a big fan of Jordan Travis, so that's the one I'm going with.
I kind of want to go Charlie, Trey Benson, and Kelvin. But, Trey hasn't even had a 1,000-yard season, and Kelvin had one amazing season.
Yes.
So it's, I don't know. Maybe sneaky Winky, maybe Winky, Dalvin, and Rashad. I'll go with that one. Just a zag on you a little bit there, Corey. Let's go to our guy Eric in Tallahassee, Knoll 43. Wake up, gentlemen. Spring practice finally here. Where's the meet and greet going to be held for the Garden and Gold game, April 15th? Hotel Indigo or Corner Pocket, day before the spring game? Stay tuned, Eric. Stay tuned.
Yeah, asking the questions everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
We don't know, man. We got 6 weeks for that. I guess, I don't know if maybe there'll be a meet and greet. There'll probably be a meet and greet on that Saturday. Yeah. We might do a live show the Friday night from Corner Pocket before the spring game. We'll see. We haven't. And we also, I think we got a golf tournament coming up, maybe.
Oh, all right. Let's go.
So we got to figure out. We got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of irons in the fire.
Nice. Man, our baseball team's on fire. Speaking of irons in the fire, our baseball team's on fire. Hope they can keep it going. Also, hopefully the Noles can get out of the ACC. Do you prefer the SEC or Big Ten? Go Noles, Eric in Tallahassee. Hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to warchant.com.
The SEC.
Yes.
For travel purposes, for the fan base purposes. Like, you'll take you prefer the Big Ten to the ACC, but you prefer the SEC to both of them.
Absolutely.
I think that's where most Florida State fans reside and media members. And that was a.
How about that Link Jarrett guy? Yeah, how about that team?
I'm going to need my shortstop to make that play, man. Come on now. You can't lose the game first and third on a pop-up behind second that hits off his glove. He's got to make that play. I felt awful for that kid. That's a long bus ride back to Tampa thinking about. And I always say that because Brady dropped it wasn't nearly as important. It was the freshman baseball game that nobody. There was 40 people there as opposed to an actual Division I college baseball game. But I can't imagine how that kid felt, man. You could see it as soon as he dropped it. He put his hands up while the play was still going on. But put the bat on the ball. Good things happen.
Well, the baseball gods even things out for Nander, right? Sunday, not great, and then stick with it, and then Wednesday.
I don't know, though. The baseball gods implies that he was unlucky on Sunday when he made that error. It's a bad error. Like, don't count on the baseball gods, Nander. Just do the work, and the gods won't come into play. But it was good to see I think he had the go-ahead RBI in the 7th or 6th or something, and then he again just put the bat on the ball, which they haven't done all that well the last 2 games in big moments, quite frankly. And but on Wednesday at least they did field well. Crowell walked the bases loaded, which was weird, but then basically got out of it. Whitaker was really good until you pitched him the 5th inning. So still got to figure out that pin. Still a lot of questions left. But you know what? You'd rather be 7-1 with a lot of questions than 3-5.
The NFL season's come to an end. You're like, what am I going to do on my weekends? Do stuff around your house. And you can also win some money over at mybookie.ag, whether you bet to earn or just to make the games more exciting. And we're all trying to win, but sometimes we can absorb the loss a little bit better if we're just doing it to be excited. MyBookie gives you the most for your money with their redesigned deposit bonus. It's easy. It's just Warchant. Put that in when you sign up at mybookie.ag to claim an instant cash bonus into your account. Everything's out there right now. NBA, UFC, the Arnold Palmer Invitational, Corey, your 3rd favorite event, I think, on the calendar for the golf season. That's available to bet on.
My favorite one in the spring, for sure. I can't think of another golf tournament in the spring that's a bigger deal than the Arnold Palmer.
The NHL, the Boston Bruins. Will they lose ever again? And spring training. If you want to bet on spring training, not judging you at all. That laugh was just, I don't even know what it was for.
I'm kind of judging you a little bit, but if you know what you're doing, go ahead, man. Yeah. If you're making money betting on spring training games, do it.
That's right. And do it over at mybookie.ag, and make sure you use the promo code WARCHANT. All right, let's get to one last one here before we kind of bundle up the rest of these GORs. Although I love our guy here. He's reliable, relentless. He's been everywhere. He's been on the old network, the new network. He's always here with us. Island Chief.
Okay.
Wants to point out, well, Michael Alford finally said the word that all Florida State fans have longed to hear, let the games begin. The part that's amazing to me is the one conference who benefits the most from our membership, the ACC, has said nothing on to spring football. He's always posting, but Marlon literally asked the same question last week, so I'll let Corey answer it and put some more panache on it. Any chance we end up like North Carolina men's basketball? All the starters come back, preseason rankings through the roof, and then a turd. Have a great day, fellas.
Again, that was a question from last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Marlon.
Yeah,
Miami.
well, so I'll just say what I said last week, that like this Florida State team hasn't accomplished what that North Carolina basketball team did. Beating K twice, including in the Final Four, including his last ever home game, getting to the national championship game. Like, they had a reason to have a inflated sense of self. This Florida State football team does not. So let's hold. And it's not like they did win their last 6 games. It was awesome to watch, awesome to be a part of. Their last 2 were real struggles. So they did not. They weren't 45-10 wins. So they should not feel like they've arrived yet.
You know, just to counter this, and I mentioned it last week too. I guess we'll just be Groundhog Day here. They were up 20 points in the national championship game, and they blew it. So again, not to
I don't
diminish.
think they were up that big. I think they were.
Yes,
like,
they were.
But they were up. They were up like 14 or 15. It was the first half, though. It's basketball. All teams make runs. Come on, Aslan, give them a break. Who even won the championship? Who'd they lose to? Kansas?
Yeah.
Was it Kansas?
Uh-huh.
Man, college basketball's fallen on hard times. I can't even remember who won. If you asked me any year from like 1960, I don't know, 4 to 1990 something, I could name you every college basketball winner.
No, it wasn't North Carolina. They beat Baylor. They blew the lead to Baylor, but they came back and won it. It was a national title game against Kansas. The Tar Heels couldn't hold on to you're right, sorry, 15-point halftime lead.
I mean, come on, Aslan. Come on, man. I know what I'm doing here. But I couldn't even remember for sure that Kansas won the national title last year.
Yeah, they did.
That's how little college basketball is resonating these days.
Yeah, so I don't know. You figure that might chap someone's rear end to not think they arrived. But to your point, too many new guys, too many guys that came back for specific reasons to leave their mark on this place in a real major way, not just
but it is a different mindset, right? You're not chasing people anymore. You're not out there chasing respect.
Yeah.
People respect you when you're going to be top 10 in the country. So now there is a different kind of there's finally a target on you. You're a school that, like, if you're number 4 in the country and you go lose on the road, they might rush the field again for beating Florida State. That hadn't happened in a good long while. So you are that program now, or that team for this year. So there is a different mindset. There's a different level of expectations and perspective that they didn't have last year, where they were trying to go earn respect. Well, they've earned respect. Now you've got to keep it.
All right, these both have GOR in the post, so let's just bundle them. Our guys, right. Big Torsk and Raw Dog 1. 2 G's.
Raw Dog.
2 G's and Raw Dog.
Raw Dog 1, I like that too. Don't confuse them with Raw Dog 2.
Oh, gosh. All right, Big Torsk. I get it. Everyone thinks the Grant of Rights is an awful deal, but this isn't a treaty that was signed in 1880. It was signed in 2013 and then extended, in all caps, in 2016. I know there's been plenty of turnover in leadership at FSU since 2016, but why in the world did FSU, Clemson, and others who are doing all they can to get out of this deal sign something so binding for 20 years? What's to get the ACC network, mostly, right, Corey? But he finishes up with, seems like FSU's been crying about the ACC since they joined it and about the Grant of Rights since they signed it. They haven't. The fans have. Gene's been ringing the bell on this forever. The alarm, rather. Help me understand how we got ourselves in this predicament with no way out. Love the show. John in Louisville. And then Raw Dog. Or do you want?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Let's not interrupt Raw Dog. Morning, fellas. My question is about the Grant of Rights. I understand the Grant of Rights. It means our games have to be televised. If I understand the Grant of Rights, it means our games have to be televised by ESPN, ? If we move to the Big X, then we would be on Fox. Couldn't we have both Fox and ESPN televise our games at the same time and get paid from both, or just let them fight it out in the parking lot and the winner gets our game that week? LOL. I don't know how that one works, but
the grant of rights is more conference affiliation, not network affiliation. Meaning, I mean, obviously it's ESPN and the ACC, but the grant of rights is with all teams in the ACC with ESPN. So that is a binding agreement that the ACC gets all your media rights until 2036. If you want to leave, you can pay a fee, but you also are forfeiting your media rights, which clearly are a lot of money.
All the money goes to the ACC. Written. ACC money. ESPN pays ACC. ACC pays us.
Correct. Right. Yeah. And I think it's like a 50-50 split. I don't remember how it all works. Who knows? No. But to the other point about the signing the extension, yeah, man, in hindsight, clearly not their best. Like in 2013, it made sense because you're trying to stabilize things. If you take yourself back to 2012, I mean, the earth was shifting under your feet daily. You didn't know who was going to land where it was going. The ACC was in real peril, it felt like, and you had to try to stabilize it. And I think kind of 2000s.
Yeah, because that was SEC had gone after Missouri and A&M in 12 and then added them. So
and the Pac-12 had gotten who'd they get? Was Colorado back then?
Utah. I think Utah
and teams like that, and Texas and Oklahoma were doing their dance. So you were trying to stabilize things, and you didn't want to go to the Big 12. Clearly, there was a lot of rumors about Florida State and Clemson maybe going to the Big 12, but that nobody wanted that to happen because again, it's just not good for your fans to play in Lubbock. And and also Maryland left for the Big Ten, which again, it's funny when you think about that. Like I don't know any Maryland fans. I'm sure they're there, but like, are they really excited playing Purdue? Maybe they are now. Maybe it's actually grown into rivalries. But I don't think that was.
Yeah, Scott Van Pelt.
No, I mean it's like he lost Duke and North Carolina. Yeah. Those Maryland fans grew up hating these schools and always watching these schools, and then all of a sudden they don't play them anymore. They're having to play Minnesota, and yeah, they get a lot more money. Great. What are they doing with it? Nothing. They're not going to compete for football. So the school gets more money. The administrators get more money. The fans don't get a benefit. Anyway, that's a tangent. But I mean, yes, in hindsight, don't sign the grant of rights in 2016. Don't sign it away for till 2036. You can even say, John, why 2036? What about 2026? That's 10 years.
Why did ESPN want it though? Like who do you think came up with that number though? Like was it?
I don't know. Maybe it was ESPN to try to stabilize it to make sure that they didn't have to. They wanted one entity that they knew. But
ESPN would never ask the SEC to do that. Like they would never ask.
No,
the
but
SEC
maybe
to
the
do
ACC by signing off for longer because they're not as marketable as the SEC or the Big Ten. So signing off for longer, maybe they got a better deal than they would have if it had been a shorter deal. Like instead of making $42 million in 2021, these schools would have been making $30 million. I don't know. I don't know the background of it.
Also, too, I don't know how much this factors into it, but not that it ever took over the national landscape in America, but hockey was on ESPN in the 90s, and it kind of was starting to build some momentum. But then as soon as they had their lockout strike, they ended up going to NBC Sports Network. And then if you're not on ESPN, you don't matter. So I'm sure a lot of the ACC is like, hey, man, the ESPN's like, hey, we can give you all this, or good luck. Go elsewhere. Go on CBS Sports Network and play after UTEP takes on, Texas State.
Now, I will say this. Fox is making a dent into that. I do believe that. I think Fox has made a pretty serious dent into that, and they care. They are trying to be an actual rival to ESPN, which is very good news for the likes of Florida State and Clemson. That you have somebody that really does want to challenge SEC superiority and the ESPN superiority if you're looking long-term about where Florida State ends up. But in the meantime, or looking back at 2016 or whenever that grant of rights was extended for 20 years, that was clearly an awful decision. It was done by the commissioner, and these schools in hindsight shouldn't have done it. I will just say the landscape was different back then. Even back then, it was only 7 years ago. It wasn't like this. It wasn't, and I don't know that Florida State had a natural landing spot then. Like we weren't, the playoffs weren't being expanded. It didn't seem inevitable maybe at that time that it would end up being two big conferences playing for the championship like it seems inevitable now. It did seem like you needed stability. You needed to be a Power 5 conference. You needed to make sure you had a landing spot in a Power 5 conference. And Florida State did that. They secured that by all those schools did by signing it for 20 more years. But clearly now 7 years into it, it was one of the worst deals ever signed. And it's sad to say it's Swofford's legacy is the ruination of this conference from a competitive standpoint when it comes to the two main Power 5 conferences.
Also, the Big Ten's on both. So the Big Ten isn't exclusively on Fox. They also are on ABC and ESPN as well. So they're kind of in that unique position where they've double dipped. But so is the SEC. The SEC has been on ESPN and CBS, but now ESPN has taken up all the inventory starting, I don't know, I think maybe this coming season or maybe 24. So, yeah, it's not exclusivity. There's these conferences are in bed with everybody, so it's not like one or the other. But
that's why it would be cool if ESPN would address that. Like maybe that's who Alford's talking to. I don't know. When I say talking to, like the statement he made last week exactly today about just where they are and how it's untenable and something has to change. Yes, he wants the ACC to do something. Maybe he wants an ESPN to do something and for the betterment of the sport. Now, why would ESPN do that when they've got Florida State locked into this horrible deal? Maybe they want Florida State and Clemson to be good for a long time. Maybe they want the ACC to matter. Maybe they want one of their big time conferences to matter. And so maybe they'll blow the thing up and start over. I don't know. Probably not though. That won't happen because as soon as they say, "Oh yeah, we'll cut the grant of rights till 2026. We'll cut you down by 10 years." Well, Florida State will bounce. And the ACC does not want that. So the ACC is I think the ACC is perfectly content with 2036. I think they want to basically hold Florida State and Clemson hostage because they know as soon as they open the door a little bit, they're sprinting out of it.
We're not sprinting into the weekend. We're going to just jaunt leisurely into it. We're going to go hang out with Coach Mike Norvell and all the assistant coaches over at the Moore Center, Tallahassee, Florida, Doak Campbell Stadium. So check out warchant.com. Probably around maybe 11:35, the tweets will be flying. Maybe the live thread reaction will be on the Tribal Council. You got to be a subscriber to get to that. Corey distilling down all these salient, important parts from Mike Norvell's statement that he'll make when we get him for a Q&A up on the podium there. So check that out this morning. Again, 11:35, probably the fireworks will start flying. And then throughout the weekend, we'll have plenty of video content, all these interviews with all these assistant coaches, the remaining video from the tour of duty that we filmed. I mean, we had 38 minutes, and you saw 22 of it. So do the math. There's plenty more for you to enjoy. And we'll do a show for you folks on Monday as we get ready for spring football. I think we'll be back to doing 5 of these a week with spring football, at least for a week or so until they break for spring break. And then Corey's going to be on a big old boat.
Going to be on a cruise.
Big boat.
King of the world.
King of the world. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.